E na iwi, e na reo, e na rangatira mā tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. And thank you, Fiona, for the traditional welcome from New Zealand. I should also thank Fiona for bringing supplies from home, some local chocolate and also some coffee. So she's looking after my material needs as well. Well, can I greet the presidents of the International Federation of Social Workers, the International Association of Schools of Social Work, and the International Council on Social Welfare, and all the delegates and participants who've come to this huge gathering today for the 29th Annual Social Work Day at the United Nations. And thank you for presenting me to receive on behalf of the United Nations the Global Agenda for Social Work and Social Development, a commitment to action and your commitments. And can I congratulate the three organisations for developing the agenda. I'm told that it was adopted with overwhelming support from around 3,000 delegates to a joint conference of the three organisations in Hong Kong, and that suggests to me that there is a widely shared vision and shared values across the international social work community. That gives your global agenda great credibility. Like you, across the United Nations, our organisations are working on how poverty can be eradicated, human rights promoted, sustainable development advanced, and the global agenda you have developed has a vision which mirrors many of the goals and the rights and the agreements established by the United Nations, and it mirrors the mandates of our agencies, funds and programs like my own, the UN Development Programme. As we too are pledged to address the root causes of poverty, oppression and inequality. We support the call on the global agenda, and I quote, to create a more socially just and fair world which we will be proud to leave to future generations. I do believe that cooperation between those of us who share these values and objectives is critical in overcoming the major challenges which beset our world. Financial and economic crises, high food and fuel prices, major natural disasters, and armed violence and conflict have a large and detrimental impact on human development and well-being. And so we need to build broad coalitions within countries and across national borders to promote solutions to such challenges. Some of them can be addressed at the national level, but others require global action, as your global agenda recognises. For a long time now, the social work profession has been at the forefront of promoting human rights and supporting people to realise their full potential. Various arms of the UN have worked with your organisations in the global forum and alongside social workers in country to speed up progress on the Millennium Development Goals, engage citizens in development and strengthen social protection systems. And I want to speak just briefly to each of the commitments made in the global agenda, on each of which there is scope for enhanced partnerships between you and the UN. The first, promotion of social and economic equalities. 2015 is the date set for achieving many of the targets in the Millennium Development Goals. And the world is within reach, if it speeds up, of seeing every child enrolled in primary school. And many fewer lives today are lost to poverty, hunger and disease, but still too many. The World Bank estimates that the target of reducing the numbers of people living in extreme poverty by half has already been achieved, which is good if you're in the half that has seen that happen, but not if you're in the other half. And so we have to confront a number of inconvenient truths about the progress our world is making. Many of the 7 billion people on our planet live in highly unequal societies where extreme poverty persists and where ecosystems are severely degraded. Economic and human development progress just can't be sustained where gross inequities leave societies unstable and lacking cohesion, and where the ecosystems on which life itself depend are badly damaged. So an explicit focus on equity and on environmental sustainability is needed to accelerate progress on the Millennium Development Goals and on sustainable human development overall. For that, we need approaches, which I know social workers support, which foster the fullest participation of people, along with bottom-up advocacy, which will bring the needs of the poor and marginalised to the attention of governments. Real-life understanding of the day-to-day challenges which people face needs to inform and shape national development strategies. Social work professionals play a very important role in making these connections. Your actions make a difference where it matters most, and your voices provide direction for policies and programs. In Colombia and Costa Rica, to give just two examples, we've seen social work practitioners involved in helping to shape national and local MDG acceleration plans, working with the UN and with national partners. These are just two of a growing number of countries which are now employing the MDG acceleration framework to speed up progress. The framework's a tool developed by UNDP and uses multi-stakeholder engagement to work out what the barriers are standing in the way of progress and what the solutions are which can remove them. The success of the approach derives from the broad engagement on which it is based, ensuring support for action plans shaped by practitioners with local knowledge and with evidence of what will work. In Colombia, we applied the MDG acceleration framework to address the wide disparities in MDG achievement. And social work practitioners worked with local governments to design actions which took into account the perspectives of communities and were able to target those in need. Social workers there are now helping to implement the local action plans with the aim of reducing the gaps between peoples within the participating local authority territories. In Costa Rica, too, the local knowledge of the social workers is helping shape a national MDG acceleration plan aimed at increasing employment opportunities for people living with disabilities. As indicated in your global agenda, you, as social workers, can help build and strengthen interaction between governments and the people, bring the concerns of the vulnerable to the fore, and help authorities to be more responsive to citizens and accountable for the services they deliver. UNDP, through the MDG Acceleration Framework and our support for civil society engagement, can be a partner in these efforts. I understand that collaboration between us and your organisations through the Platform Human Development Initiative has shown this potential. And that initiative has in the last few years helped to facilitate civil society engagement in national development strategies from countries as diverse as Mozambique, the Philippines and Nepal. I have asked the UN resident coordinators, UNDP resident representatives around the world to work on establishing civil society advisory committees wherever possible. Those committees advise the UN country teams of organisations on how they see the local and national development issues, and they help us identify ways to improve civic participation and engagement. Organisations engaged in social work are already engaged in some of these committees, and their experience is very helpful in guiding us on how best to reach marginalised groups and communities and make social protection systems and service delivery better. While we work together to support the MDGs being achieved by 2015, a global conversation is already underway about what the post-2015 development framework could look like. The preparations for the Rio+20 UN Summit on Sustainable Development, the actual summit itself, and the very large civil society and other events planned to run alongside it are a very important part of that conversation. It is vital that voices from across the world's communities are heard at Rio+20, and that summit has an outcome which weaves the three strands of sustainable development together: the economic, the social and the environmental. The global agenda developed by your organisations makes it clear that you will be involved in that conversation, and I have no doubt that you will help ensure that the perspectives of the world's most vulnerable and marginalised populations are heard. Your second commitment, promoting the dignity and worth of peoples. You seek universal implementation of the international conventions and instruments. You support strategies which will drive social cohesion and address the seeds of conflict. You seek peaceful resolution of conflict. You advocate for the rights of migrants, and you will support action against human trafficking. The United Nations definitely needs partners like you, which share its norms and values and seek to uphold the substantial body of human rights law which has been developed. One of the roles of UN country team organisations around the world is precisely to support countries to translate global norms and standards into national policy and practice. UNDP is working in a lot of countries to help establish independent national human rights commissions and build the effectiveness of those which already exist, which are often under-resourced and do not have the expertise and capacity they would like to have to do their job well. Also, a survey of our country officers in 2008 showed that more than a third of them were actively engaged in helping to harmonise countries' legislation with the international human rights obligations they had accepted by ratifying conventions, treaties and protocols. The third commitment, working towards environmental sustainability. Well, to me, sustainable human development progress means meeting the needs of people today without compromising the prospects of future generations. That's an accepted definition of sustainable development going back to the Brundtland Commission of 1987. Last year, the Global Human Development Report published by UNDP argued that equity and environmental sustainability have to be advanced together. In our work, we look for triple win policies which both reduce poverty and inequality and are good for the environment. Energy policy provides some very good opportunities for finding triple wins. Access to sustainable energy for all lifts incomes, has huge social benefits, and is kind to the environment. 2012 has been designated by the UN General Assembly as the International Year for Sustainable Energy for All, and the Secretary-General has announced ambitious targets for that end. We hope that this cause will gain a lot of momentum at Rio+20 in June. Social and community workers see the hardship which living without modern energy brings, the burden on women and children, the poor health which comes from being exposed to unclean cooking stoves, and the impact on the local vegetation when people have no option but to use traditional biomass for their cooking and their heating. Social and community workers' advocacy for both equity and environmental sustainability can bring powerful testimony from the grassroots of our communities. In UNDP, we support more than 70 countries to hold broadly based consultations in the lead up to Rio around these issues, and I hope your voices will be heard strongly too. Your fourth commitment, strengthening recognition of the importance of human relationships. Well, we share your commitment to promoting sustainable, interdependent communities to achieve social development and well-being. Because like you, at UNDP we base our work on empowering individuals and communities. Our tagline is empowered people, resilient nations. That's what we're in the business forward. At the heart of the concept of human development is an acknowledgement of the importance of people being able to live lives which they choose for themselves and value. At the heart of our work is engaging communities in voicing what they want their future to look like. I've just seen an inspirational example of such work in Haiti, which I visited last week, where UNDP has helped create what are called community platforms in informal settlements. And those platforms bring people from the informal neighbourhoods together, working now on how to make their districts more resilient to natural disasters, save lives in the future, and work on how they will make their voices heard by decision makers. So, in conclusion, thank you for celebrating Social Work Day at the United Nations once again. By coming here, you remind us of the vital work which the social work profession plays in building a more equitable and sustainable world. This year, the formal presentation of your global agenda also reminds us of the shared vision and the values we have, and of the importance of working together for a better world. Thank you very much and have a great day at the UN.